faith. Well, it burned when I cried, 'cause I heard it screaming out your name, your name, when I lay with you. Well, it burned when I cried, 'cause I heard it screaming out your name, your name, when I lay with you.
All right, guys. So things are a little bit fun in the land of Facebook and the technical world, and and entrepreneurs, right? We pivot and adjust, and things don't always go to plan. And good old Facebook right now has decided to ban me from going live for whatever reason. Maybe the content I'm sharing is just too controversial. Maybe it's just too exciting. Maybe it's just too crazy for the community around Facebook. So we are live streaming here on Dave's profile, but we're also on LinkedIn. We're also on YouTube. Let us know where you're tuning in from around the globe. We've got Dave's chat here up in front of us. We can see the comments on there. Put hashtag Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, wherever you're tuning in from, just so we can know it's working on that end. But hey, when there's a will, there's a way. And just like water can carve through, rock over centuries, sometimes you just got to be a little bit persistent. So, Dave, how are you, champion? What's going on in your world?
I'm fantastic. Well, heaps and heaps of stuff getting ready for the event in a couple of days' time. So that's one big thing. And then, keeping clients happy as best as I can as well. And having some fun with Dazzler and creating images, for your crazy adventure coming up soon over to the US. And, all sorts of things, enjoying the newfound, increase in, community and some financial benefits as well, which I never had before. Fantastic opportunity with Aurum. So things are going very well. keeping me honest and keeping me busy. Kids are back to school now, so a little bit of peace and quiet during the day. Yay for that. It also takes up a couple of chunks out of the day where I've got to drop them off and pick them up as well. So
that integrated lifestyle balance, right? So hey, do me a favor, just either bring your microphone a little bit closer so we can hear you properly, but that'd be great. That's much better. There we go. So Dave, it's been a wild ride, and things are leveling up all the time. And can you believe, like, we're almost like we're 4 months into the year. Quarter one of the year's done. We're almost like halfway into quarter two, and the whirlwind of forced intentional growth that we're in right now. Things just keep getting leveled up, and you mentioned it just there. It's like, yesterday Sarah and I decided, like, we've been talking about it for months, but we actually decided yesterday, and we purchased the tickets to fight for the flights. It's like, let's go to America and let's go for 3 months. Like, let's just go do it. And
why not?
And what's fascinated about me through this whole experience, right? And then we talk about it a lot, but I've just seen a whole new level of it, if you will, being amplified. And this putting yourself into positions of forced intentional growth, right? And so, and also when you make big decisions like this, what are the tools, what are the processes that you go through to, say yes? For me, I'm intuition driven. I'm driven through my gut feelings. If it feels right, I just go ahead and do it. That's what most entrepreneurs are like in that space. But there are some other things to do, to go through, and checks and balances and processes, and, not so you're doing things reckless. So Dave, whilst I'm sort of describing, my tools and process, I'd love you to come and share yours. And for our audience too, like, leave in the comments, like, what are some of the tools and things that you use to process decisions, to make the big commitments, to say, yes, let's go do something crazy, like take the family of 5 to America, take them out of school, and to give you some sort of level of idea of what's going on here. Harrison has MS, Jackson has ADHD, I've got chronic pain syndrome. I can give you all the reasons on why not to go. And I can give, we're renting. We've got a dog, so who's going to look after the house? Who's going to look after the dog? Are we going to continue to pay rent while we're away? Or, what are we going to do, and this sort of thing? So all these big questions to come up to the space here. We've got kids, and, Harrison's in year 8, Lachlan's in year 7, Jackson's in year 4. So we've got kids in school. So what are we going to do there? How's it going to disrupt their schooling, and, all of that. So, big decisions like this all come at a cost and a sacrifice. There are things that, that Harrison and Lachlan were looking forward to at school, coming up during this term, and they're not going to be able to do now. But the adventure and the cost and the reward of it's going to be amplified and much bigger, right? So, both Harrison and Lachlan now, they're going to hate me saying this publicly, but they've got girlfriends now, and they're at that age that they, they want to stay connected and, connected with their friends. And I get all this, right? So what are some of the tools and processes that you use to help you to go in and do big decisions like this? So Dave, what do you use?
Well, a bit like you, my gut, but I guess I also I use my mate, either Claude or ChatGPT too, to do a bit of a bit of reasoning, a bit of for and against, and try and, I guess, pick out things that I may not be sort of seeing clearly. Obviously, talk to the wife as well. The kids don't get a say in the matter. That's their problem. I'm just a bit like that. Well, I got a 5-year-old. That's the main worry. The 17-year-old, he's nearly 18, so he's, right to look after himself most of the time. But the other thing too is I quite often, even when I'm not making, decisions like I'm going to the US because I want to go to the Philippines to live, but that's a battle that I'm sort of going through at the moment at home. And I spend a lot of time in the mornings and sometimes late at night with my faith. I just do a lot of praying into it.
You're praying,
yeah, always praying into it, just to see, if there's any word from, the man above, to see if if I'm making the right decisions, or, if he needs to give me a little bit of a nudge in a different direction and things like that. But I think ultimately I just use the tools that are at hand, and for me that's AI a lot of the time, and then my gut is the the reality check, and then obviously the wife is the final stop check, so to speak. So I can't very well say I'm going to the Philippines to live in your country without you. Well, then again, she might pack my bags and say, "Here you go."
Had enough
So
of
when
you.
you
See you
go,
later.
yeah, bye bye. You never
Yeah.
know, but yeah, I think it's we've just got to, I don't know, talk maybe to your closest friends and family and things like that. And I guess like most entrepreneurs, though, like you said, I think everything's figure outable. That's one of your favorite sayings. So you jump in and go for it, and then you work out the rest of the stuff later. And then basically it's you and your family that's probably the most important thing. So if you can convince them to go, then you're 3/4 of the way there.
And I love what Michael Silver says about this whole conversation, right? He says, say yes to everything unless it's dangerous to your ecological health and safety, right? Meaning that,
Yeah.
if it's going to be detrimental to your health, if it's going to be detrimental to your living experience, if it's going to be detrimental to, being able to pay rent or electricity or the bills or your cost of living, then that's a good reason to say no. So I like to reframe it like this. I say yes to everything until I could find a good reason to say no. And sometimes the reasons we say no to things really are not good reasons. For me, in my experience, most of the time that I've said no to things in past, it's because I've been scared, to be honest. Like it's been fear driven, the answers around that. And so for me, the whole conversation around like committing to making this happen was the excitement and the adventure. But here's what I want the audience to really pay attention to as well, is for me, it was the regret of what if. Like, living, you hear of the saying that, when you talk to people on their deathbed, the elderly and all that, what are some of the things that they wish they had done, the things that they regret not doing. And it's the travel, it's the experiences, it's the stories and all that sort of thing. And so, most people have never really, got to the end of their life and regretted the things that they have done. They've regretted the things that they haven't done. And so the fear of the regret of it, the fear of what if for me. So that became bigger than, oh my God, like, what happens if something happens? Like, the reality is if something happens, something happens. It's an opportunity for growth, right? To be grateful for our trials and tribulations and the character building moments. They make us stronger, yeah. And so when I look at something like this, both Sarah and I turned around and said to each other, I said, okay, right, well, let's commit to making it happen. Let's, we've got to get the kids' schooling sorted out. We've got to figure out what we're going to do there. We've got a few things around medications and health and doctors. So we're going to see, can we get the medications? Like, Jackson's ADHD drugs are, they only give them to you a month at a time because, the Sudafed and that sort of thing and whatnot, people can, do some crazy stuff with those drugs and get through customs and all that. So we need letters from doctors and all of that sort of jazz. And people do it all the time, right? We just got to go make sure we do our 6 Ps, proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. And so we got to consider that. And so it was the school, it was the doctors, and then it was the house sitter. Either that or do we put the dog in a boarding kennel for 3 months? And so basically said, our rule of thumb is green lights, yellow lights, red lights. And so we said to us, hey, look, if this is meant to happen, it's meant to be, like if it's part of the big man's plan, upstairs, it will just happen. It'll be easy. It won't be any real resistance to it all. So that's what we call green lights. Like you're driving a car, it's green light, you go, you keep going. A yellow light is a couple of warning signals there. Maybe we're going to stop and think about something a bit deeper or look at it at a different angle or, look at the possibilities of it. Something like maybe it's not going down that path, but maybe we turn right and we go down that path. So they're your yellow lights. Your red lights are, things that stop you, like your car, your red light, you're meant to stop. And so we look for green lights, yellow lights, and red lights for essentially our discernment, if you will, to make sure that we're you know, not just on our path, but on God's path, you know, something that's bigger than that, you know, and other people call that the universe. They've got all different labels for it all, really. But for me, it's comes into that faith piece, and it's that faith plus action equals where the results lie. And so we had faith in the whole conversation. We took action, and so far we got a green light in the school. We got a green light in the doctors. We just found a house sitter last night, so we got a green light there. There's been green lights all the way, and so that's one of the tools that we personally use. And I love to hear what some of the other people may use when they're making big decisions like this, because I think this is a very valuable conversation, right? Because a lot of people just automatically stop at the fear of things and this is too scary, too much, too hard basket. Let's not worry about it. And you know, in that space, right? So say yes, say yes to figuring out does and says, but that's when it happens. And here's the thing that I've also realized as well, right? Because we said yes, it's like shit. Now we've got to get our ass into gear. Now we've got to get flight. Now we've got to get the doctor sorted. Now we've got to get the school sorted. Now we've got to get the house sorted. And like
forced intentional growth.
There's a word, right? The intentionality has forced us to get our shit into gear and to get things happening, because if we don't, then it don't happen. It's like it's
like I think it's like anything, you know, especially with people probably in general. That's one of your favorite things you've been saying lately, and what stops a lot of people, I think, is as you say, the KNOW. They don't know enough. They don't do enough research. They don't, know enough about what's ahead.
They don't see
exactly
the clarity that they need.
That's right, exactly. So like you said, you worked out what you had to do. You've moved forward on achieving those things, like the doctor, the schools, the house sitter, looking after the dog, all those sort of things. So by taking those actions, like you said, now you've got all green lights so far. So it's just about that knowledge, I guess, and then growing into it and forcing yourself to do the things you need to do. And I think that's a great lesson in life and in business and pretty much anything you do.
Yeah, for sure. And so, hey, if you're tuning in live with us and you're, connecting to this conversation, make sure you tune #live. If you watch the replay, let us know. But just wanted to say shout out to Dazza. We've got Eric. We've got Bruno. Hey, gents, how are you all? It's good to have you on the call with us. Let us know what you use to help you to discern how you make big decisions. Look, and going back to another one of my mentors, I'm not sure if anybody's ever heard of the SWOT analysis, SWOT. And this is a really powerful tool to help you with that sort of thing as well. And especially with AI, like I'm glad that you mentioned, Dave, you had AI come in the conversation. So, I went to AI and I said, right, let's do a SWOT analysis on XYZ plan, all of the things and that sort of thing. And it broke it down to the strengths, to the weaknesses, to the opportunities, and to the threats, categories. And essentially, looking for all the pros and the cons, like you can do a pros and cons list and all of that, to help you to go through it, and go through it logistically. So you're thinking about everything. But also, I love AI because then you can say, okay, now ask me questions of things that I might not think of to help me to, really get a robust viewpoint of here, of things that are maybe outside of my scope or outside of my thinking, the lens that I'm in. And ask me a couple of questions that, think outside the box. And, so that now helps you to process it and put plans in place, because a goal without a plan is just a dream. So now we've got a plan. Now we're working the plan, and now this dream will become a reality. And it's like, this is pretty exciting. And so I wanted to just quickly share
the Griswolds are coming to America.
No, the Rosses are coming to America.
The Rosses are coming to America.
It'll be a documentary in itself.
Well, it certainly could be, I'm sure.
Right. So for I just wanted to talk a bit about this masterclass here before we go into talking about updates and whatnot, just on how we can say yes to things more and put ourselves into, really good, positive, intentional growth places, because this is how we level up in life. Like, going to America, that's a big, scary thing. But what was a big, scary thing prior to that? Running these virtual events that we seem to be seasoned pros at. Doing the first one, that was a big, scary thing. What was a big, scary thing before that? running our AI boot camps that, where I met Dave. That was a big, scary thing. Starting the podcast was a big, scary thing. Writing my first book was a big, scary thing. But these are things that have helped me to keep leveling up and stepping up and essentially growing up. So my question for you is, are you stuck in a rut just with the everyday mundane stuff? Or are you actually putting yourself into forced intentional growth positions to step up and shine? Because you're either green or growing and you're ripe and rotten. And that whole saying now for me is just taken a whole deeper level of context for that. It's not, you hear these sayings, right? And when you don't really understand them, they sound like cliches. But when you get to the other side of them, there's a lot deeper meaning behind it all. And so, Dave, you've been on this wild ride for me, always stepping up, always, growing up with me. And we just keep leveling up. What has been some of the key insights for you on that journey, on your growth journey?
Well, I think, for me, it basically says it all in one. Is basically, you've got to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions so that you will grow, that force, intentional growth. Basically, I've learnt that you really just need to, sometimes you just need to do things. And I think, like I've said before, one of your favorite sayings is everything's figure outable. So, when we take on clients, for instance, some of the things that we sort of look at, we've got an idea on sometimes, and then, we haven't come, something you get thrown into, throw a spinner in the works, so to speak. And, we go, oh, okay, well, how am I going to do that? Well, once upon a time, probably would have went and curled up in the ball in the corner. I'm going, that's just too hard. But, now it's about what tools have I got, what people have I got available around me in my, circle of influence, my community that may be able to help me to, just nudge me in the right direction. And, maybe I'm not far off the mark, so I just think those sort of things, like really learning to use what's available to us to be able to achieve what you need to achieve and get through those things, same with the summits and that, it's taking several of them to get me to where I need to be, as far as, just hiding in the background and making sure things are working, and the speakers get on when they should, the ads come on when they should, we finish when we should, all those sort of things. It's I was scared shitless, so to speak, when I did my first one with you in the background, especially for the for the Los Angeles Tribune. But over time, it's just like everything. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, and that's what I found is you shouldn't be so stressed about it. Something that you're not going to do it because and I guess the main thing in that is worried about, oh, I'm not very good at that, because like you always say, it takes 10,000 hours to get good at something, to master something. So by forcing yourself to do it and repeatedly doing it, then that's when you're going to grow into it and you're going to get better at it.
Yeah, that's an apprenticeship track that we always talk about too. But the key thing there I want to highlight is the difference in the mindset between being a problem finder versus a solution creator. Right, a problem finder just looks for problems, and then they look for excuses to go and blame, excuse, and denial, and live life below the line. A solution creator goes, there's a problem, but here's a solution. Let's take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for it, and let's live life above the line. And so that is.
I wonder where I learned that from.
Right, that's the key difference of everything is figure outable. Yes, everything is figure outable if you live life above the line. Yeah. If you continue to live life below the line and let your excuses and your blame and your denial essentially keep you small in your comfort zone, and I get it, this lifestyle, this stretch, this growth journey, this crazy side of it all, it's not for everybody. And that's okay, because we still need our garbage collectors. We still need our teachers. We still need our lawyers, our doctors, and the mainstream for society to work. And if that's what you love doing and you're content in your lot in life, then great. But there are the few of us, the black sheeps normally I've come to find, and all that sort of thing, the square plugs in the round hole, the pioneers, the ones that want to challenge the status quo, that we're not content, that we are always looking for ways to stretch and grow and do crazy things in that space. And that's okay too. There is no right or
100%.
wrong. You know, like, you know, I hear a lot of the online entrepreneurs bashing the whole 9 to 5, you know, the job network and all that sort of thing. And look, I'll be guilty of it all. I used to do it as well in my naivety and ignorance. But I've come to realize that this lifestyle is not for everybody.
No, some people are just meant to work at JOB and they're quite happy and contented, and you know, they get to, you know, get through their life, and you know, they're secure, and that's what they're built to do, I guess, so to speak. Whereas, well, you know, us other crazy people,
society to even function in any capacity, we need those people. But we also need people who help us to grow and evolve and challenge the status quo to help us to continue to be progress in that space. So we need both. We need the yin and the yang of the conversation. So, guys, thank you very much. Dave, thanks very much for being my partner here, just to ramble on a bit. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. Guys, I've got an impersonator floating around. This guy here is not me. This is, you know, the world is too big for two Jeff Rosses in the world, to be honest. But there is a guy out there, you know, impersonating me. Now, there's something here I want to point out. You know, I've gone in here and called this guy out, you know, get a life, you wanker, but whatever. Such an Aussie term. You know, so I want to highlight the red flag. So how can you tell that this is a fake profile? Right. So I can't get the blue tick on my name at the moment because that's the one thing I would do. But for some reason or another, every time I go try to do the meta verification, it's not accepting my payment. And I've had nothing but trouble with Facebook ever since I lost my account in December and got it reactivated. So it's just something to do with that. Right. But there are a few key differences that I definitely want to point out here. And so I'm going to go swap screen shares back and forth here to be able to point this out. So here is my real profile, the official profile, the real one. You can see here, right? So it says Jeffrey Ross, and then in brackets, it's got my Laptop Lifestyle Dad name. It's the nickname. I've got 10,000 followers. I'm always following other people. If you see 0 followers there, then it's probably a fake profile for sure. You know, it's got a few of these things here. But something I learned just yesterday, actually, if you click on the name, you can actually see, I think this is a fairly new feature, actually, but Facebook have brought this in to help with this, to combat this issue. You can see straight away here, here's the biggest giveaway. This profile has been going since October 15, 2012. I've actually been on Facebook since 2009. I had another profile early on and I got lost it and I started another one. So this one's actually been around since 2012. And you can see, like, you know, and the other thing too is like a red flag, right? Is go look at the engagement. Go look at, you know, how many posts I've been putting up, you know, the old posts and stuff, whatnot. And I'm going to go back to the fake profile in a second here. But the big giveaways is like the engagement, is the age of the profile, is a few things here around this. But, you know, let's go back to the fake profile here and call this guy out. And I want you all to do me a favor. I want you to all, I'm going to put the comments in the links, the link in the comments and all that thing here. I want us all to go here and go to ... go report page, go something about this page, go fake page, go a friend, actually put my name in, or for this case, it's me, and report this dickhead for me, and let's get him off the internet. Like, the only way I know to get him off is if 20 or 30 people start reporting him, Facebook will pay attention and we'll get rid of this wanker. But here, one thing, right, I want you to click on is click on that name. And you can see here, created April 19th, 2026. Like, that is a major red flag.
Good giveaway.
That's the imposter. The other way you can see, it hasn't got Laptop Lifestyle Dads here. It's got 0 following. That's a big way. This guy must be buying or got a link farm, you know, follower farm, whatever you want to call it out there, because that's actually surprised me. I've never really seen that before. But these guys are getting pretty freaking clever. They're getting better and better to make it harder for us to deal with this shit. And like, to be honest,
he's done a pretty good job.
You know, dealing with this shit's exhausting. Like, it's something that's got to deal with it, or as being an influencer and growing in that space. You know, it's just part of the nature of the beast. But this shit's exhausting, and it just zaps my soul. You know, but hey, I'm using this here now as an opportunity to educate you. Like, he hasn't got all my posts, but you know, stealing word for word from a post. You can see here, you know, if I found out, I'm going to call it out pretty quickly. You know, but you can see here, like, there's no interaction, none at all, right? So that's a pretty dead giveaway. So no interaction. The account itself, now I do like this Facebook feature that they brought up. You can see it's a pretty new account. That's a dead giveaway. and 0 following, that's a dead giveaway. And, those type of things. So let's just be very vigilant out there, everyone. These guys are out there. What this guy's doing is he's getting onto other people's posts and saying, inbox me. And, I've had a few people, that's why it's brought to my attention, right? So, Jeff, why'd you say inbox me? And I've gone, I'm confused. What are you on about? Figured it out.
Yeah.
That it's an imposter. But that's what they do, right? They go create these fake accounts, these fake profiles, like from us influencers. They reach out, they go to you, say, inbox you, and then they get you into some sort of, trap scam or that sort of thing. So, for starters, I have asked people to DM me, but it's been on an intentional call out, yes, me type post. I will never ask you to inbox me just on a random post. So that's very clear on that space. And if you're very unsure that you're dealing with the real Jeff Ross, then ask, call them, call them, get them to do voice messages. If it sounds like some sort of Indian guy, it's probably not me. And so call them, get them to do voice messages, put them into a group chat that is personally connected with me, and they'll be able to call it out. There are several ways that you can discern and stay vigilant, to deal with these type of wankers out there. And so let's just be really vigilant. Let's protect the house. Let's protect the community here, and let's just help empower and equip our people to understand the difference between, a real profile and a fake imposter wanker profile. Because they are, guys. They are just complete low-life wankers. I haven't got any time for them. And it's just absolute bullshit. But anyway, that aside, I've had my rant. I've got it off my chest. I've done it now. I've taken ownership and responsibility and accountability for that, and I've helped educate and empower you all. There you go. The responsibility is on you now for you to go ahead and figure it out. So
yeah, I just need to figure out whether he's used Claude Code, Lovable, Click, which or he maybe used Kimmy or something like that to recreate the pages before.
I'll ask the question. If you've dealt with this before and you figured out a way to identify these guys quicker, let me know in the comments, because I'm looking for ways to create better systems around this, because this is something that I personally have to deal with, I reckon, on a monthly basis. And
something that Facebook should be dealing with. Right.
It's just exhausting. But Facebook don't give a shit. They really don't.
Well, it's funny how they can actually get away with setting up the account with the same name for a start. When you go to sign up, they ask particular questions. So it's very they clearly haven't got enough AI in the background doing a useful thing. They've got AI in the background blocking people's accounts and doing stupid shit.
They blocked me from going live. So there you go. So what's that? Yeah, how's
exactly.
that? But anyway, let's not waste any more time on that conversation. Let's get forward. So we've got our Hero Makers Summit coming up on Friday at 9 a.m. Sydney time, which is Thursday, 4 p.m. for our Los Angeles friends. We're kicking off with Natasha Graziano. Not who that is. Go look on Instagram. She's got over 60 million followers. She's a major influencer, and it's an absolute blessing, leveraging our connections with Michael Silvers and Mary Glorifield and stuff to be able to bring the caliber of speakers that we're now bringing to the table. And we've also got some really awesome up-and-coming, emerging leaders in this space as well, from Australia and from America and everywhere else in between. I love these summits, Dave. Every time we put one on, we raise the bar. Every time we put one on, we get better at it, and they get smoother and more polished. And I'm actually looking forward to getting Eric Worre on for one down the road, whether it be June or August. We keep leveling up, guys, and we bring these events to you free of charge. So if you're not registered already, we'll make sure that you get the details and links and all that sort of thing in the comments, all that. Make sure you save yourself a seat. Make sure that you're a member of the Hero Makers Facebook group community, and get out there and help us share this message. This message is a way to help us to unify the industry. These are agnostic events. They're not pitch fest. People pay tens of thousands of dollars to get access to this type of information, to be in masterminds and coaching and other speaking events. And we're bringing this to you free of charge. So all you have to do is help us to promote it, share it, come and turn up, take lots of notes, and then go and implement. So we've got Todd Valconi coming back for round 2. We've got Jordan Adler from Send It, from doing those things and whatnot, one of the top earners from Send It. We've got, who else we've got? We've got Tracy Burgess, we've got Leo and Carissa, we've got Melanie Brandt, We've got Megan Jarvis. We've got Craig and Whitney and Carmen Skipworth coming back, just to name a few speakers. And so I absolutely love these summits. Dave, I know that they've been very valuable for you and your journey and your growth, and also helping you behind the scenes to make them possible. But why do you love these summits? Like, what impact have they had on your life?
Well, I'll go for two things here. Well, firstly, I guess it's a bit more of an add-on to how they're improving, and I think we've been awesomely blessed by your association with Michael, but I think bringing JLo into the picture as well as a host has been another bar raiser, because I actually work with JLo on her podcast and with Pablo as well, and I watch them at least once a week, how they operate and just the depth of questions that they do with their guests and they do JLo does exactly the same thing, and she brings the yin and yang with you when you guys are interviewing our guests, and then you've just got the overall calmness and influence of Michael leading the charge as well. So I think that's just a perfect balance, and one way that we've definitely raised the bar. But man, I think the biggest impact it's had on me is I've had to, go out to Officeworks and buy so many more notebooks and pens, because there's just so much gold that comes out of them I have to do. And I guess the other blessed thing for me is, AI and being able to get access to the replays and get all the information from the transcript and that, because man, I can't write that fast to put all the gold down, that at least AI can help me later on. And I just had a crazy idea.
I just had a crazy idea to help us to level up the whole experience, and maybe this is something that we will probably have even charge for an inner circle conversation. But we could take these events, and for everybody who shows up can come and do the free level side of the conversation, turn up and get the amazing experience. But then something I've heard Todd Falcone talk about a lot lately is we're in an age where we don't need more knowledge, we need more application, we need more execution. So maybe, Dave, we could take the events, turn them actually into execution application type workbooks, and then host a couple of weeks between each events and whatnot, and create a bit of inner circle community there that's holding each other accountable and responsible and taking ownership. I don't know, maybe something to float with Michael, but I just love this, because this is what forced intentional growth looks like, right? And it puts you in a position to be of service in a bigger, better way, to serve your community, to look at ways to play bigger, better ways to empower and equip people to go and achieve the mission. And I don't know, maybe that's something crazy. Maybe let us know. Would you like that? Would you, having an accountability and execution sort of inner circle mastermind, kick your ass a bit more to help you to get into gear? Would that be something of value to you? This whole, I will mention too, this whole Hero Maker Summit and future ones are sponsored by Voice to Influence. This is a masterclass community that we're creating for only $30 a month, where you can get access to people like Michael Silvers, myself, but also Joseph McClendon, possibly Jim Quick, Mary Glorifield, Steve Smith, some of the other bigger speakers that we've had on the stages as well. And you can come and get access to this amazing community for just $30 a month. We'll make sure that you get access to that link too, but it's called Voice to Influence. And that could be something that could be a bit of a mastermind space and an execution application space to help you, to put you in positions for forced intentional growth, to help you to level up and help you to create a life that is worth living your dreams. So Dave, thank you very much for your journey. Dazza, I know you're in the background. Thank you very much for everything you do too.
Big help as always.
Stacey, for everything that you do with the videos and helping us out in that space. And for our co-host Michael and JLo, it's going to be another amazing event. Make sure you've registered. Let's get it out there and share this message out loud and proud so everybody can hear about it, and it's not the world's best kept secret. And let's rock and roll. So 2 days for the next Hero Makers Summit, and we look forward to seeing you there. Hey, Dave, thanks for your time. For our audience, bye for now, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Will do.
It burned when I cried 'cause I heard 'cause I heard it's